Otto web slings his way as quickly as he can through the Lower East Side. He ignores fires, shootings, and the cries of help from the innocent. He has no time for those idiots. He's trying to call Anna Maria, but she isn't answering. So, he tries Chief Pratchett instead. Otto will just send the coordinates to him, and if the chief will listen, then... "No, you listen," snaps the chief. "I'm on to you, ignoring the goblin, steering us towards his rivals. You're in on it." And the police are done taking orders from Spider-Man. No, now the chief will be working with the mayor and Alchemax, and they will be deploying the Spider Slayers to handle this problem instead. Otto finally makes it to Empire State University to meet with the Goblin King. At last, he huffs. No more distractions. Traps or not, it ends here. He swings through a window, shattering the glass, and lands in an empty hallway filled with paintings of goblins and green arrows.
"Oh, I'm disappointed in you,"
chuckles the king.
"Rushing in, no planning, no prep, no henchmen. That's not you, Otto. That's him."
"You'll see the difference between us soon enough, dolt. When I tear your head from your neck." Otto slams open the door at the end of the hallway and stomps into the next room. Within the lecture hall, at the bottom of the steps, the Goblin King hovers on his glider, jeering and holding up a tied-up Professor Lamaze for Otto to see.
"Now you're just being rude,"
he tells Otto.
"This isn't about me. We're here for our special guest! Ta-da!"
"Lamaze?" Otto gasps. "Is this some kind of joke? Your hostage is Don Lamaze. Ha!" The king's smile quickly folds into a scowl.
"Well, that's disappointing. I did my homework. This overstuffed shit is the closest thing Otto Octavius ever had to a friend. I saw footage of you practically killing yourself to save him and that midget. And now, it's like you don't even care."
"Osborn, cease your incessant..."
"But I forget."
The king cuts him off.
"You're not the last guy. He could turn a hangnail into an epic tragedy. With you, I have to work a little harder. Consider this a rehearsal. I'll be back when I've found someone who can really raise the stakes for a grand finale."
The king drops Professor Lamaze onto the table and prepares to make his exit. Spider-Man, without a thought, produces his extra appendages and leaps after the madman. "You'll go nowhere but the grave," he curses. The king just laughs.
Ha! And out pop the arms. So predictable.
The king snaps his finger and takes full control of the arms and uses them to poke, prod, and stab at Spider-Man.
"Thank you,"
he howls.
"This won't be a total letdown after all." I was saving that one for the climax. But why wait? I can always come up with something else. I'm not a one-trick pony like you. I mean, really, metal arms again? And based on your old designs. So pathetically easy to hijack for a real genius. See you for the final act. If you survive this one, of course.
Spider-Man grabs a hold of his arms and rips them out of his backpack one at a time. Lamaz, run! He yells. They're striking to kill! Blast! Nearly took my head off! The professor shuffles to his feet and backs his way out of the room, keeping his eyes on Spider-Man the entire time. Don't just stand there, fool! Move! Spider-Man's arms are causing his spider sense to go crazy. He can't tell which one of them is attacking where. And one arm, unbeknownst to him, prepares to plunge itself into the base of the hero's neck. However, that's when the unexpected happens. Lamaz, instead of leaving, sprints forward and uses his own body to absorb the blow. And the arm, unforgivingly, pierces through the professor's back and out through his chest. You saved me. Spider-Man tears his arm out of Lamaz and eases him to the ground. Why? What could possibly possess you to... You, the professor says softly. He coughs and spills blood out of the corners of his mouth. When you saved me and Miss Marconi, she needed help, but I ran. Ever since, all I wanted was a chance to do right. My whole life, I've been nothing but a fat, pompous ass. But you showed me what it means to be a hero. Thank you, Spider. He dies before he can finish his sentence. And beneath his mask, Otto sheds a silent tear for his old classmate who he took it upon himself to bully all those years ago. It takes a few moments for Otto to gather himself, and even less time for his rage to peak. In reaction to his newfound anger, Spider-Man leaps to his feet and back to the window he entered from. Goblin! He shouts to the heavens. I'll find you somehow. Track the chemicals in your glider's exhaust, or... Suddenly, Spider-Man's spider sense flares back on. Huh? What now? I have no time to waste on minions. Good, because I wouldn't trust subordinates with this. You should feel honored, Spider-Man. How many criminals are personally arrested by the mayor? Spider-Man is caught totally off guard as he is greeted by a fleet of fully armored, flying spider slayers. And each of them have a picture of Mayor Jameson displayed on their face screens. Imbecile! Spider-Man yells back. If anything happens to me, you'll be exposed as... I don't care anymore! The mayor bellows as the first Spider Slayer grabs onto Spider-Man and slams him into the wall of the building. The very same building that was donated by him on behalf of his wife, Marla Jameson. His rage for the wall crawler is every bit as palpable as Otto's is for the Goblin, and he will not relent. I lost the woman I love, my self-respect, losing my office, even my freedom. It'll all be worth it if I put an end to you with Spider Slayers. Yes, and these are stronger than you remembered, aren't they? Light years ahead of the old ones, powerful enough to tear you limb from... Suddenly, the mayor's Spider Slayer shuts down. They shut down? Spider-Man wonders aloud. How? That would be me, Bithead. Spider-Man looks over and finds Miguel O'Hara, the Spider-Man of the future, sticking to a wall nearby and holding onto a small device. I remember you. The Spider-Man of 2099. Why are you still in this timeline? Be glad I am. Those things would have slagged you if I hadn't shut them off. Let's just say I have an in. Well done. If you can control them, we'll pursue Osborn together, with a robot army backing us. Now release me. Maybe later, Miguel tells him. I've got some questions first, and you're not going anywhere until you answer them. You fool! We don't have time for this. Actually, I've got decades. I don't belong here, and I'm not so sure you do either. Something's wrong with history. With you. You're acting totally different from the guy you're supposed to be. And until you tell me what the shock is going on, nobody moves. However, at that moment, the Spider Slayers turn themselves back on, and the Slayer holding Spider-Man squeezes him in between his robot hands. If you think reactivating them will intimidate me, Otto warns. No, I'm not doing this. Miguel repeatedly mashes the button on the small device. How is Jameson? Suddenly, a Spider Slayer tackles Miguel through the opposite wall.
Jameson? You poor saps!
The horde of Slayers approach the two heroes, but now their screens show the face of Norman Osborn.
Surely you figured out by now that Norman Osborn runs this city and everything in it!